One of my favorite books in my book arts instruction, and also just in my life, is the LinkStitch. It's a exposed spine binding with decorative thread functioning as the structural and aesthetic component. It's a really nice book. It lies flat on the table and works that way as a good reception book. In fact, this is the book that I used for my BFA final exhibit. And it sat there all through the week, and people put all sorts of fun comments in there, including one that said, "P.S. Flawless frames. Wow." You always know when they say something about the frames that they're grasping for something good to say, and they can't find it in the work. One of the things I like about the LinkStitch is that you can always access the full page. It comes right into the gutter. It doesn't get trapped like it does with so many other books. We're going to be making this book today. It's got 5 stations and about 9 signatures. Measures about 6 inches by 9 inches. Let's get started. Prepare your signatures. I have a video that describes this process in more depth. I'm using 9 half sheets of 70-pound text weight paper from French Paper Company. Just for fun, I'm alternating between 2 varieties of their speckle tone line. Measure the 2 covers using a signature for a guide. The boards should measure just slightly larger than the signatures. Be sure to align the grain of the bookboard with the grain of the paper. Open the boards and mark the spine edge, head, and tail on the inside faces. Press the text block, protected by the cover boards, under heavy pressure for at least an hour. Measure the sewing stations parallel to the spine edge on one board. The head and tail stations should be 3/8 to 1/2 of an inch away from the head and tail of the boards. I like to space the other stations equidistant from one another, and I like to use odd numbers, no fewer than 5. Punch the stations with an awl or a hefty teasing needle. Trim the punctured bookboard off of each station. align the covers and transfer the stations from the first to the second cover. Punch and trim the stations on the second cover. Sand the stations, and while you're at it, sand any burrs off from cutting the boards. Use the boards to measure out your book cloth. I'm cutting enough cloth for 2 books. Keep in mind that each piece of cloth needs to be at least 3 inches larger on each dimension than the board itself. Also, make sure the grain direction of the cloth matches up to the grain direction of the book board. Spread glue on the back of the cover and adhere it down to the paper side of the book cloth. Make sure it is centered. Press the cloth onto the board. Trim the excess off the margins. Trim the corners using the corner trimming guide. I'm making a future video in progress detailing how to make one of these handy tools. There should always be a board thickness width of cloth away from the corner of the board. Before pasting down the turn-ins, punch through the stations. Otherwise, you risk hiding them when pasting down. It's a good idea to dry fold the paste downs prior to actually gluing them down. Paste the foredge and spine turn-ins first, followed by the head and tail. Ensure that all the corners and edges are creased sharp and that all the seams are pressed closed. Repeat the process for both covers. I'm only showing one here. Measure and cut 2 pieces of text weight end paper to use as liners for the inside of the covers. They should be slightly smaller than the covers, or about the same dimensions as a signature. Dry fit each piece before committing to glue. Apply glue to one side of the liner and gently paste it down to the inside of the cover, ensuring that the liner is centered and that there are no air bubbles. After the glue has had a chance to dry, punch the sewing stations through the liner paper. This will leave a puncture mark that can be burnished down with the tip of the bone folder. Make a jig to transfer the stations from the cover to the signatures. Jog the text block and gently lay it flat. Place the station jig on top, aligning head and tail. Using a straight razor, cut shallow marks into the spine to create sewing stations. This is a quick alternative to punching each station. Make sure to hold the razor at a perfect 90-degree angle. Cut 2 yards of thread. Waxed thread works best for this binding, but it is optional. Thread your needle. Stack the text block with the foredge facing you. Turn the first cover over, followed by the first signature. Their spines should be facing you. Start by taking the needle through the end station on either the head or the tail, from the gutter to the spine or inside to outside. Leave a 3-inch tail of thread in the gutter. Take the thread over the board and pass the needle down through the corresponding station on the board. You've created a bridge of thread connecting the signature and the board on the spine, and a finger on the cover. In the direction of sewing, wrap the thread around the bridge, creating a bead of thread, keeping the thread in between the signature and the board. Pass the needle back through the same station on the board, but in the opposite direction, creating 2 fingers on the inside of the board. Take the thread back over the board and pass the needle through the bead toward the signature. Make sure the threads are tight. You can pull on the active length, but you can also pull on the tail. Push the needle back into the signature on the first station without piercing the thread already resting in the station. On the inside of the station, tie a square knot, right over left and left over right. Proceed to the second station and push the needle through from inside to outside. Attach the signature to the board as before. As you come back into the station after attaching the board, transfer the tension of the thread from the signature to the previous length of thread on the inside of the gutter by passing the needle underneath that length and pulling tight. This will catch the thread up and pull out any slack. Proceed to the next station and repeat the process of attaching the signature to the board. As you continue to attach, make sure to keep the signatures lined up to the board. The spine should be flush, with the heads and tails properly spaced from the edges of the head and tail of the board. Also, pay attention to the fingers of thread holding the board to the signatures. They should lie parallel to each other and should not be crossed either on the outside or inside of the board. The bead should be resting on the spine, not choked down below the surface of the spine. Every time after you come through the bead, you should press down on the signature above the station and cinch the knot tight by pulling up and down and up and down. At the end station, proceed as normal, passing the needle out from the gutter to the spine and attaching the board and signature. The only difference comes after passing the needle through the bead. Rather than going back into the signature, which would lead to a dead end, simply turn over and stack the next signature in place and go into the corresponding station. Then proceed to go out the next station. At this point, switch from a straight to a curved needle, which is more suited to the operation of linking the signatures together. In the direction of sewing, insert the needle into the gap between the previous signature and the board. Loop the thread behind the knot attaching the two together. Make sure that the needle rests above the fingers, not beneath. Pull tight while compressing the signatures over the station. Push the needle back into the same station, ensuring that you don't pierce through the knot. Transfer the tension on the inside of the signature before progressing to the next station. Link to the previous signature as before, inserting the needle between the signature and the board in the direction of sewing. Tighten the thread and go back into the same station. Transfer tension and proceed to the next station. At the end station, proceed as before, linking to the previous signature in the direction of sewing. However, don't go back into the signature. Rather, reverse the direction of sewing and push the needle behind the bridge you just created by linking to the previous signature. Pull tight. Turn over the next signature and pass the needle into the corresponding station. Proceed to the second station and continue to link all of the signatures together, each to the signature preceding it. At some point, you'll run out of thread and need to attach a new length. Make sure you plan to do this on the inside of the signature. Make a capital R with the old thread pinched in the thumb and forefinger of your left hand. Pass the new thread behind the R. Wrap the new thread around the front of the R. Take the end of the new thread underneath itself and pass it through the loop of the old thread away from you. Gently pull the ends, being careful to tie the knot down as close to the station as possible. Any twisting may compromise the knot, transforming it from a weaver's knot to a slip knot. Test the integrity of the knot by pulling on all combinations of the 3 loose ends. Clip the 2 tails about 1/4 inch away from the knot. Rethread your needle and proceed to link the signatures together. Once you have attached the second to last signature, the process alters slightly. Rather than attaching the last signature to the previous one, then attaching the board to the last signature, these processes are combined into one. Turn the last signature over and stack it on the text block, then turn the cover over and stack it as well. With the last signature temporarily floating without attachment, link the second to last signature to the board as in the first step. After going through the bead, link the top signature to the previous signature before going into the end station of the top signature. Proceed to the second station, pass the needle out, attach the signature to the board, and after passing through the bead, link to the previous signature before going back into the signature, transferring the tension, and proceeding through to the last station. At the last station, once the attachment to the board has been made and the top two signatures have been linked together, take the needle back into the end station of the top signature and tie a double overhand knot. Clip the thread 1/4 inch away from the knot. Finally, once the book is all bound and put together, separate the pages with the bone folder.